Hello, I'm Jim Moore, President and CEO of the University of Illinois Foundation. Thank you for tuning in for the video edition of our annual business meeting. Yes, video edition. This is the 85th University of Illinois Foundation annual business meeting, and as you can see, it's a beautiful fall day here in Urbana, Illinois. And I'm standing on the steps of the Krannert Center and not the steps of the Great Hall. Typically, by the time I take the stage for our annual meeting, you've already enjoyed our customary pre-meeting social, perhaps taken a stroll down memory lane, or you may have even been wowed by one of our amazing faculty members. Of course, 2020 has been anything but typical, and I do hope you are all managing to stay safe and well during these unprecedented times. The disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has kept us from coming together in person, but it can't stop us from celebrating the University of Illinois and our generous donor community. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we will provide you with a summary of our fiscal 2020 financials, an endowment performance report, and updates on our campaigns. From that standpoint, it will be business as usual. In this most unusual year, you will see that the University of Illinois alumni and friends remained very generous, and they kept our three universities among their top philanthropic priorities. You will also hear about how our faculty and researchers have proven once again that when things get tough, we don't dwell on the problems, we seek out solutions. From our earliest beginnings, the University of Illinois has been at the cutting edge of innovation. Over the years, you and those who have gone before you have been stewards of our land-grant mission. What sprouted up in the middle of a muddy field in 1867, thanks to the Morrill Act signed by President Abraham Lincoln, has become a world-renowned institution. For 153 years, President Lincoln's gift has paid immeasurable dividends, far beyond what I think even he could have ever imagined. The University of Illinois has found the power to grow and thrive, not only where it began in the prairie, but also in the bustling urban landscape of Chicago and in Springfield, our state capital. Since the Krannert Center is off limits, I wanted to welcome you to one of our oldest university buildings, historic Harker Hall, the headquarters of the University of Illinois Foundation. This iconic building was renovated by the Foundation Board nearly 30 years ago, and it's an example of the impact our donors have on the preservation of our past, and we also hope it inspires others to invest in our future. Historic Harker Hall is where most of our business operations reside, and in a few minutes, you will get a financial briefing from Christy Devocelle, our Chief Financial Officer. But at the risk of stealing just a bit of her thunder, and speaking of historic, 2020 was more than a pandemic at Illinois. For the first time in the history of the University of Illinois Foundation, both our cash and new business numbers surpassed $400 million. Civil unrest, a global health crisis, and a stressed economy did not stop you and thousands like you from giving at record levels. Because of you, more than 90,000 students are able to pursue their dreams of an Illinois education. Thousands of faculty and researchers were provided resources to inspire and create innovative solutions to address large-scale challenges in healthcare, education, the economy, the environment, and almost everything in between. Pretty incredible. Thank you all for contributing to this success. You can learn more about our financials during Christy's portion of our video. Since 1935, the Foundation has been investing in and supporting the University of Illinois by securing and managing gifts. Campaigns are a significant part of that history. The last two campaigns, Campaign Illinois and Brilliant Futures, raised $1.53 billion and $2.43 billion respectively. In the fall of 2017, we launched an ambitious set of campaigns for the University of Illinois. Collectively, they have an impressive $3.1 billion goal, the largest in our university's history. Each campaign was built to highlight areas of strength and opportunity for our three very unique universities. Reaching Stellar, the campaign for the University of Illinois Springfield, has a goal of $40 million. Our campaign priorities are focused on student support, specifically for scholarships, projects and initiatives that serve the public good, campus life enhancements, and innovative programs including the Lincoln Studies Initiative. Ignite, the campaign for UIC, has a goal of $750 million. The Ignite campaign is about investing in our UIC people. Priorities are focused on student access, our distinguished faculty, and our community. Recent campaign gifts are making education more affordable, healthcare more accessible, and donors have also helped construct world-class facilities, including a new engineering building and unparalleled medical simulation labs. With Illinois, the campaign for the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign is moving the needle closer and closer to its impressive $2.25 billion goal. The broad priorities for the With Illinois campaign include scholarship support for students, support for our world-renowned faculty, interdisciplinary research, a variety of capital projects, and programs in 15 colleges and countless centers and institutes. The University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign remains a premier public institution, in part because excellence is being advanced through philanthropists like you. I want to take a moment to thank our chancellors and our campus leaders, along with our incredible advancement team members, who are doing a great job maintaining connections with all of you during this pandemic. Without their leadership and support, our success would not be possible. As I mentioned earlier, our system-wide goal is $3.1 billion. And when you look at where we are right now, you will see we are on track to meet or exceed our goals by our 2022 end date. I also want to thank our president, Dr. Tim Killeen, for his leadership. His vision to establish the Discovery Partners Institute is also helping to propel us to the campaign finish line. I want to thank you all once again for your passion, your pride, and your generosity for the University of Illinois, and for helping the University of Illinois system truly be altogether extraordinary.
Hello, I'm Christy Devocelle, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the University of Illinois Foundation. I'm going to provide you with a brief summary of our financial performance for fiscal year 2020, which covers the period of July 1, 2019 through June 30, 2020. I'm going to start with a summary of the Foundation's financial position. Total assets as of June 30th, 2020 were $2.57 billion, with the majority of these assets being earmarked with donor restrictions. The largest percentage of the balance sheet is comprised of pledges receivable, representing documented gift commitments, and investments, which includes the endowment, deferred gifts, and farmland gifts. The main financial activity of the Foundation results from the receipt and acknowledgement of gift funds, investment of our endowment assets, and distribution of current use gifts and endowment income to the university. Now I get the distinct pleasure of sharing a summary of our gift activity for the year. I am thrilled to report the new business figure this year is $462.1 million, which includes new gifts, pledges, written commitments, grant awards, and bequests. Thanks to all of our donors around the world, this is the third straight year that we have recorded over $460 million in new business, with 2018 remaining the highest year in our history. The $462.1 million came from a variety of sources, with the largest being our loyal alumni, who contributed 32.6% of those dollars. Corporations were the next largest source, with 22.2%. The remaining 45.2% was contributed by foundations, family foundations, and friends. Also, thanks to our donors, the Foundation is reporting another fantastic fiscal year 2020 number. For the first time in our 85-year history, our cash flow number surpassed $400 million. Cash flow includes current receipts and payments from outright gifts, grants, pledge payments, annuities, and realized bequests and estate distributions. The 5-year data shows that this year even surpassed our previous all-time high that was set in fiscal 18. Telling the story of what donors find important to fund is always interesting and insightful. Research, student support, and academic programs are consistently a top priority for our donors. Collectively, these categories booked $173.2 million in cash for fiscal 20, and unrestricted funding, which was $183.9 million, was nearly twice as much as the previous fiscal year. This flexible funding gives our deans and unit heads the discretion to spend funds as they best suit their needs and priorities, but it is important to note that these funds are still bound by donor intent that earmarks those dollars for a specific university, college, department, or program. I hope you enjoyed learning about these financial highlights. I know they just provide a small slice of the full report. If you are interested in more detail, you can find it on the Foundation website and in the annual report that will come out in late November. As always, thank you for your dedication and support of the University of Illinois. Your generosity helps fuel our success, and your commitment helps us serve the needs of our universities, students, faculty, and staff. With you, I look forward to investing in the University of Illinois for another successful and prosperous 85 years.
To echo what Christy and Jim have said, thank you for joining us today for our first virtual annual meeting. I'm Ellen Ellison, the Chief Investment Officer of the University of Illinois Foundation. The following presentation summarizes the results of what has been an especially tough year for the endowment. The preliminary investment return is negative 1.2% for fiscal year 2020. The endowment's low exposure to U.S. and Chinese equities, especially in those large technology companies, detracted from performance. On the other hand, the small allocation to natural resource equities was also a negative. Finally, the endowment has a higher than average allocation to safe, global treasury bonds and short-term liquid funds that earned less than risky stocks. We briefly hit a peak value of $2 billion in assets in late January, just before the pandemic. Despite extreme market dislocation, the endowment ended the fiscal year at $1.9 billion, which represents a small increase over the previous year's value of $1.84 billion. Thanks to the excellent oversight by the Investment Policy Committee, we were prepared for the tremendous market volatility of the past few quarters and have maintained our long-term investment discipline as we move carefully and thoughtfully through this unprecedented moment in history. It is critical to focus on our established asset allocation framework during uncertain market conditions. It has been, in fact, the most challenging period of my career as a Chief Investment Officer. We are not satisfied with the current year's results, but we believe that the endowment is positioned to perform well into the next economic cycle when global and U.S. growth returns. In general, endowment returns have been reported lower this fiscal year when compared to previous years. According to the Cambridge Associates Endowment Universe of 400 institutions, the median endowment return for fiscal year 2020 was under 1%. We've spoken to you in the past about the minimum required return. This is defined as the distribution to the University of Illinois plus the administrative fee for the foundation plus actual inflation. We did not meet this goal in the most recent fiscal year, but as the slide shows, we have over the last 10-year rolling period. It's important to note that with interest rates close to zero, it has become increasingly challenging to attain this goal in recent years. We have a globally diversified portfolio. The chart shows the long-term asset allocation that is reviewed and approved annually by our Investment Policy Committee. Marketable or public equity has a target of 53%. Private equity, a target of 10%. Fixed income is at 25%. And lastly, real assets, which include real estate, energy, and agriculture, have a 12% target. Finally, the middle circle represents the combination of assets from the foundation's endowment and the universities. It includes farms and other separately invested assets. For the fiscal year ended 2020, the total active endowment equals $2.93 billion. To conclude, I wish to emphasize that the endowment is designed to mitigate the months ahead with its ample liquidity. This extra dry powder is important for two reasons. First, we will not be forced to sell anything to meet all of the university and foundation's financial obligations. And secondly, it allows us to consider any extraordinary investment opportunities that may exist as a direct result of the current market volatility. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kay Schwichtenberg, Chair of the University of Illinois Foundation Board, and I'm joining you from my home to yours for this, the video edition of the 85th annual meeting of the University of Illinois Foundation. Last September, Alan Feldman, now immediate past chair, officially passed the torch to me on stage at the Krannert Center. And oh, a lot has changed since then, And even though we are not meeting in person this year, please know that we, the Board of Directors, stand firm alongside each of you in service to the University of Illinois Foundation and our 3 wonderful universities in Urbana, Chicago, and Springfield. Throughout this past year, I've seen firsthand how dedicated Jim Moore and his team at the University of Illinois Foundation are working to keep their operation running smoothly and efficiently, and that was even before the pandemic. After the coronavirus crisis hit the United States, I have been very impressed to see how the advancement community at the University of Illinois and the Foundation have been able to adapt and change. Even from the beginning, they've been able to remain fully operational to serve donors and our universities. To President Killeen, our chancellors, vice chancellors, and to those of you leading the advancement efforts in Chicago, Urbana, and Springfield and beyond, I thank you. You are providing all of us with so many points of Illinois pride. Your efforts do not go unrecognized, and your work to keep our faculty, staff, and students safe are so very much appreciated. I've heard President Killeen remark that when this pandemic ends, he wants the world to know that Illinois took great care of its people, and indeed you have. I am so proud to be a part of a system that is being held up nationally as an example to all. This fiscal year has been remarkable for the University of Illinois Foundation, and that is in part to the hard work of the advancement teams, but it's also a reflection on you, our loyal donors. Even in these uncertain times, you have realized the importance of investing in the University of Illinois, and you should be proud of yourselves for making it possible for the Foundation to post historic numbers for cash and new business in FY20. And even though today we can and should celebrate these historic numbers, they really don't come as a surprise. The alumni and friends of the University of Illinois have a long history of giving to our institutions to help them thrive and grow in both good and uncertain times. I would like to offer a special thank you to our governing directors, who serve as fiduciaries for the Foundation with amazing care and consideration. They are tireless in their work and could not be more committed to our great institution. Life directors and Foundation members are 2 groups I would also like to publicly thank. These 2 groups number over 1,000 strong. All of them are champions of their university, in their communities, and in their work they do on campuses every day. They consistently invest in the University of Illinois and wholeheartedly put their support behind the University of Illinois system. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce the University of Illinois System President Tim Killeen, who graciously has agreed to share a few thoughts on the system today. Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry that the pandemic is keeping us apart physically today, but I'm proud that technology born at the University of Illinois is keeping us connected. We helped create the online world that brought us together today and has been our lifeline throughout this global crisis, with pioneering contributions that include the first graphical internet browser, the first virtual chat rooms, and the first computer-based educational system. Innovating is in our DNA. For more than a century and a half, the University of Illinois system has been a pipeline of the breakthrough discovery and the next generation workforce that drives progress. But our impact and our importance has perhaps never been more visible than now during the COVID crisis. From the very beginning, our life-changing power and our land-grant commitment to the public good have been on display in real time. Here are just a few of the many examples. In a matter of days last spring, our brilliant researchers in Urbana created an emergency ventilator, addressing a national shortage that threatened to leave critically ill patients without equipment critical to their recovery. Later, they developed the breakthrough saliva-based testing and surveillance program that allowed our universities to restore in-person instruction this fall, a game-changing program that is drawing interest from literally around the world. Urbana researchers also provided the leading-edge modeling that were behind statewide stay-at-home orders issued by Governor Pritzker, orders that saved countless lives. In Chicago, we are at the forefront of clinical trials towards treatments and possible cures, including one currently underway for the first COVID vaccine to be tested in people. At the state's request, Springfield faculty have shared their expertise in online education to help colleges and K-12 schools across Illinois transition to virtual learning, and all the while, the dedicated healthcare professionals at our hospital and clinics in Chicago have been hard at work on the front lines, providing care and comfort to patients and their families. I hope our contributions to the fight against this historic crisis makes you as proud to be part of the U of I system as I am. They reflect the power that makes the U of I system a go-to destination for another record crop of students this fall, more than 90,000 system-wide, and more than $1 billion in funding for research that is tackling our most pressing challenges. Our power is fueled by your commitment and your gifts. You drive our groundbreaking innovation and our academic excellence. You support our world-class faculty and change the lives of students who will define our future. You make the U of I system a cut above, the gold standard for education and innovation. A place we have further cemented as we lead efforts to restore the way of life that we all appreciate now more than ever. I'm so grateful to all of you for your generosity and your passion for what we do. And my thanks to the UIF board for your leadership and vision. Take care, be safe, and I look forward to seeing you back on campus soon.
Thank you, President Killeen, for those insightful and inspiring remarks about what is happening at the University of Illinois system. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for the second half of my tenure as the chair of the University of Illinois Foundation. While I don't have a crystal ball, but one thing I can predict with great certainty is that our alumni and friends will support their universities to the fullest extent possible to ensure the continued success of the world-renowned University of Illinois system. We are so grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you. So this concludes the video edition of the 85th Annual Business Meeting for the University of Illinois Foundation. Now, my personal plan is to see you in person next year, so mark your calendars, and thank you, everyone.